let's let some people get in here because, it's a thing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. For you, the people that are joining us today, our Freezer presentation is The Angels of Orion. It's from 2020. It's just going to be an audio file because I didn't have the video of it. So, today, I just want to say hello to everyone. And I'm going to give it a few minutes, and I want to let some more people file in, and we'll get started. How are you guys doing today? No, I just, back when I got it, I couldn't afford to buy the video versions like I used to, or like I do now. So this is just going to be, you're going to be looking at my majestic mug today. I could probably bring us some other stuff while we're doing the stream, but I want to actually, today we're just going to focus, I'll be playing the audio because that's all I got for today. And also, I can, if you guys are interested, I also have a bunch of other Bashar sessions that have, give me like 2 seconds, that we can also look at later on. We have the Contact Formula 2027, which we're going to be coming upon here in the next few years. And that is an MP3, so that's just audio. The Archetype of God, which that actually does have video. I'm 6'5". I have Bashar's Gift, which is another audio file. Children of the Future, which is, I have a lot of these in. I have Saipo on here if you guys want to watch that at some point, but that's just the audio as well. Earth Zero. Eclipse. That's the MP4. Eye of the Needle. Ooh, that's a good one. Like, if you guys ever get a chance to. Oh, yeah, no, I recorded that off the live stream. That's right. My name is Kenneth. And I am 6'5". I'm a very tall guy. Ooh, Fairy Tale for Grown-Ups. That's actually a really good transmission, and I have that in video form. The First Path of Mastery. That's also in video form. Becoming a Galactic Citizen, Part 1. Becoming a Galactic Citizen, Part 2. Guilt and Responsibility. I have that in MP4. Hidden History. Please never call me Kenny. It annoys me. Interdimensional Portals. I have that on audio. Matters of the Heart. I have that session. Oh yeah, no. So I was watching. If you guys know about the channel Hooklo, which is humanquality.org, they have different channelers come on, and I found out about Tyler a few years ago, and he was And then I ended up doing a few private sessions with him after I found his channel, and we ended up just had some great. I've had some great conversations. I want to go back and sit and talk with Tyler some because it was. Well, I want to sit back and talk with Rayo because I have a few questions that I've been wanting to ask for a little bit. Orinoco's Quest, Parables and Time Crystals. That's another session that I have. Tell them Bashar sent you, which is a really good one, and I have that on video. The relationship between fear and power. I recorded that, and then let's go. The 5 hybrid races. That's a good one. The Gray Zones, which it just talks about that. The Last Days of Atlantis. The Mind-Body Meditation. Let's see. Willa and the Winter Spirit. I really love that transmission. I've rewatched it a bunch of times. Window, the Door, the Gate. High res. And I have that in an MP4 video format if you guys would be interested in watching that at some point. Well, I will say this much, some of the stuff that I was talking about with Ryo when I talked to him, it was stuff I wasn't exactly comfortable sharing, but what I did find out from talking to him is that the things I did and I was uncomfortable talking about were the same things that other people were afraid of. So, what I found is it's helped other people when I've been able to just come out and say the things that I've been embarrassed to talk about. So, yeah, I can pull up. I think we should do the window, the door, at the gate. That was the very first one from the beginning of this year. Let's start with that. Let's do that one today. What say you guys? It was the one, well, it's the first one it's the one he did right at the end of last year, and it kind of talks about as what we're going through at this time as we move into the window of open contact, which we are in, by the way. And, so something Ryo shared not that long ago is that what the embarkation of 2012 actually was we've already moved into 4th density, which is cool as hell. So we are actually at the lower part entering into it. We're already in it, but that's what we've been moving through for the last 10 years or over 10 years now. Since December 21st, 2012, we've been shifting into that. And as we've been shifting into the higher density form of shifting into 4th density, we've actually just been letting go of all those things that we've been holding on to. So, I got to do something real quick so you guys can watch. Let's do the window, the door, the gate today. And I got to do this so I got to do some, let's see. All right, let's do the window, the door, the gate, everyone. Hi. Here we go. Let's get started for today.
All right, I'll say we will begin. Good day. This transmission is called The Window, the Door, and the Gate. And we will explain this a little bit more clearly in the meditation that will go along with this transmission today, so that you may be better prepared for the 3-part transmission.
Which I actually do have the 3-part transmission. I've done the meditations, and they kind of open you up in a new way. It's fun.
Mission coming up in your year of 2023 in January, February, and March, called Becoming a Galactic Citizen, where we will take you through very specific exercises that will involve
Yes, I can.
the window, the door, and the gate to open you up to greater probabilities of contact in the years to come.
I have the chat on actually a separate screen as I sit here and watch this with you guys. I actually can read the chat as well.
So this will be more clearly explained in the meditation as a symbol, as a changing and a frequency shift of the energies required and the state of being and state of mind required to increase these probabilities of contact as you move forward in the window of open contact. The idea in general is that these three stages, the window, the door, and the gate, will shift your energy
I have a laptop off to the side. That's why I keep looking off to the right.
in very specific ways that will expand your ability, expand your awareness, expand your potential to step out of your typical reality and begin to blend and interact and interface with new levels of reality that are all around you all the time, but are mostly invisible to you now. These exercises, these permission slips we will deliver in the first 3 months of your 2023 will be designed for the specific purpose of allowing you to relax the barriers that have been created, the limitations that have been imposed upon your consciousness, that up to this point have prevented you from being able to see what is all around you all the time, to be able to expand your senses and become more sensitive to higher frequency and higher dimensional energies, so that you can begin to enter a new realm in which there are many more probabilities.
So I want to add something onto this. As we shift into more like higher dimensionality, like at fourth density, something that helps to be able to fully shift into that higher density where everything's moving faster, I mean really shift, you kind of have to let go of the idea of guilt. I know that in the last few months, and also this is something else I've found out from Mario and like listening to other stuff, is as we shift into fourth density, you kind of need to merge with your oversoul, like your higher mind, so you become like an expression of as an expression of both things combined into one, so you're able to receive that higher, we'll just say higher understanding much more easily, and it's all much more integrated.
For interaction with different kinds of beings, not only extraterrestrial, but extra-dimensional and even spirit.
Let go of guilt. Guilt will hold you back and hold you down in third density.
To begin to dissolve those preconceived notions and preconceived barriers between what you typically refer to as physical reality and the other more refined, more rarefied realities that exist right here, right now, but which you pass through unaware. You may have given yourself the opportunity to experience little glimpses, little pieces, little moments of tapping into those higher realms, those higher dimensions. But the idea of the window, the door, and the gate as a permission slip, as a series of exercises, will refine your ability, if you are willing to align with it, to begin to perceive reality in a very different way, and to be able to perceive those that inhabit those other more rarefied levels of reality, so that you can begin to truly expand your notion of what it means to be a galactic citizen. So join us on this journey today, and we will, in the meditation, take you through an exercise to begin to prepare you for the upcoming 3-part transmission of the window, the door, and the gate. In return for the gift you are giving us of interacting with all of you this day, I ask, in what way now may we continue to be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogues and your questions.
So, having gone through the, I'm going to say this before we get into any sort of question. Having gone through the meditations for the window, the door, the gate, for the transmissions that come after this. What they do is each individual meditation, as you do them as they go along, it lets go of the idea and opens up your perspective to what's already there, because everything's already existing, it's just on different frequencies. It opens you up to the frequencies that what he's bringing through in a much more open, consistent way.
If you so desire.
Hello and good day, Bashar. I had a question regarding physics we've discussed in the past. You have shared that the Fibonacci spiral is the active principle of physical reality, and that one way of looking at the higher mind, or the concept of oneness in physical reality, is to imagine infinite counter-rotating Fibonacci spirals. And
it's the attracting force. It's the thing that allows you to, as you have these two spirals going on top of each other, that's the attracting force. It's a practical representation of, it's kind of like you put a standing wave. It's what also allows you to levitate like beads of water, or just about anything actually in the air without needing like a physical force acting upon it. It's just kind of a standing wave that allows you to attract things into your life.
And I was wondering if it would be accurate to say that every Planck spherical unit is a black hole corresponding to those counter-rotating Fibonacci spiral dynamics. And to understand how in your family sigil the triangle with the Fibonacci spiral in the center corresponds to how physical reality actually comes into creation.
This will be up on my page later if you want to actually watch it
Most efficiently.
You can consider the nodal points of the multidimensional, double rotating Fibonacci spiral to be a type of black hole, although that's not necessarily the most accurate word to use or term to use. But you can begin there, but it's the nodal points where the lines cross that are what you're referring to. The triskelion of my family sigil has to do with the principles of three in synchronicity, and the spiral simply represents the idea of the active principle of acting on your passion, acting as who you are.
Acting is the language of physical realities, so
that's the sigil of the first contact specialists, who connect to other worlds and actively initiate contact, actively dispense information.
And my
just like I'm actively sharing this with you guys today.
second question is, I would be interested to know how specifically the double helix geometry of our DNA corresponds to interfacing with this black hole physics of expression, right? Is that idea of us blinking in and out every Planck time constant into physical reality, I would assume that's most initially or fundamentally expressed through the coding of our genetics in that Fibonacci expansion or propagation, and how the heart relates to that expression.
Yes, as we have said, the Planck time is the tick of the physical reality clock. Therefore, it's 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 billions of times per second. So in a sense, yes, you are flickering in and out of the idea of physical reality, since
And I've heard Bashar say this in previous transmissions, which is you're dying and being born billions of times per second. It's moving so fast that you don't realize it's happening.
it's just a projection of consciousness anyway. But that is the pace at which you have done so, because it represents the frequency, the vibrational frequency of the stepping down and transforming of spirit into an experience of physical materiality. You are DNA. You are DNA. In other words, the first manifestation of your physicality is literally the DNA spiral. That's who you are. That's what you are as a physical being. You surround yourself with a mobility unit you call a body, but you are the DNA as a physical entity. That's what you are. Again, the higher mind.
The form that your body takes is it coalesces into is the form that your higher mind or your consciousness chose to act as the vehicle for this incarnation.
Mind sends
or whatever incarnation.
Information in the terms of frequencies of energy. The heart acts like a drum, vibrating it back to the mind, and it takes its cue from the belief systems in the mind to determine in the DNA structure when you are most aligned with your true self and true vibration and when you are not. Good day.
Good day to you. Oh, what an honor. I can't think of any place I'd rather be than right here in front of you, dear Bashar, right now.
And neither can we to be with you in this co-created experience that is a reflection of our passion. Please begin if you wish.
I'm going to dive right in to our relationship with all that is.
All right.
There was this show in the 80s or 90s. It was called Voltron, made up of 5 separate space explorers, like joined together to form this super robot, Voltron. I mean, are we like
How many of you guys watched that as a kid? I know I sure as heck did.
individual space explorers? And is all that is Voltron in a way? Maybe without us, God doesn't have a pinky or something like that?
As a simplistic analogy, yes, you are accurate. Everyone is made of what you call all that is, or God, or goddess, what have you, by any name. And the idea is that they are all reflections of all that is, and all that is everything, everyone, everywhere, every when. So yes, the individual components, as you say, the individual reflections make up the whole and issue from the whole, and the whole receives these reflections to know itself as the all that is.
Beautiful. Now, with that comes a slight existential crisis within me, per se. It seems like part of me has a feeling, almost like Voltron, like I need to save the universe.
It's just a belief. I mean, seriously, like most things in our reality, it's just a belief that he's expressing.
And be the protector of all. But then part of me says, slow down, buddy. This is a reconnaissance mission. This is about learning, understanding, growing, and really learning more about yourself.
And that's more coming from the higher mind that when it's saying things like that versus the other one that you have to say things.
Part of me says, and the other part of me says, you know what, you could do both. You could try to be a savior if that's your excitement, and then you'll learn in the process. But is there a right or wrong to any of this?
Nothing existentially requires saving. It is an earth term that is a separation, a limiting term of a relationship to the idea of your reflection of all that is. It doesn't save you. You don't need saving.
No one realistically needs saving. Like the idea of the white knight has been forced down our throat. I know that I wanted to fill that role for a long time and try to be that star on the team, as it were. But realistically, no one needs saving. Like, you're indestructible.
It's about the idea of experiencing yourself on greater and greater levels, allowing yourself through process, through experience, to recognize that you are an expression of all that is, and that everything is an expression of all that is. And while you allow yourself to increase or expand your awareness of this, you actually become far more aware that nothing needs saving at all. It is all valid experience.
So this Jesus or Yeshua, whatever you want to call it, that's all that he realized, is that he was an expression of all that is. He was able to express his ability to walk on water or anything else, because he did have that expression of he is all that is, just from a certain perspective.
Whatever way, shape, or form it chooses to present itself. Do you understand what we are saying?
I comprehend. Yes, I understand. You talk about the mirroring of, everything's a mirror basically of our inner selves and our beliefs. And our beliefs kind of create this matrix in our
Your reality that you exist in, that you're experiencing, is actually a reflection of whatever your belief systems are at that moment.
perceptions. Now, when we die, is it the same thing in spirit where our belief and
No.
perceptions create the afterlife?
No, well, your view of the afterlife, yes, but the I can tell you from taking trips over there in this one, it just depends on how you view it. Like, it will. I've seen it in many different ways, and like sometimes it looks like a grassy field, sometimes it looks like giant crystals that have like all these orbs going around it.
Or is there like a file system in the afterlife? Like Beetlejuice. Ever see Beetlejuice?
So Yeshua, and I will do a whole big transmission on this, because I'm gonna do a session with someone where I just talk to Yeshua and just him, and try to get like a full understanding that I can share with you guys. But Yeshua never came to found a religion, like, at all. That was not his intent. He said, "Be like me," because we are just like him. We're all expressions of God. We all have those things actually inside of us. We are all part of the collective of the universe, of Earth, of it all. Like, we are all one thing expressing ourselves as many different things. It's the one is all is one.
Beetlejuice, where they were like, you messed up this life. You go over there. You go over there.
Well, it depends upon what it is you choose to experience. All these things are possible experiences if you choose to go in those directions for your own reasons and your own purposes.
Whatever's
The
relevant.
idea is it's not so much about beliefs, because you know things in the afterlife that you don't necessarily allow yourself to know in physical reality. And so beliefs are a system or a structure that take the place of your knowingness so that you can explore the ideas
It's the rules of the game.
and decide what it is you choose to know and what it is you will allow yourself to choose beyond the physical reality. You set yourself up for a different series of choices in the afterlife, but it's not about belief in the afterlife.
Nope.
The idea is, again, you are free to choose whatever it is.
Also, when you're non-physicality, it's more about a knowingness. It's less about like, I believe this or I believe that, because beliefs are much more flexible when you're on the non-physical side of things.
You believe, quote unquote, needs to be done, needs to be experienced for you to expand yourself in whatever way, shape, or form you decide to do so. Is this making sense?
This makes total sense. That's beautiful. It's in our beliefs now. When we talk about the idea of, let's say, evil, it seems like there's
Evil is subjective. What's evil to one person is not evil to another. The way I'm not, by no means am I condoning murder or theft or anything like that. It's more about negative and positive. Negative are the things that are separative and disconnected and stop you from being connected to the whole. Positive is integrative and inclusive.
certain fail safes like built into reality. So the more evil that we see in the world, part of me feels relaxed about this, because when you see evil, it kind of like forces good to the surface. You know what I mean? It's almost like everything's every action has an equal and opposite.
And that's why he says the formula so much, because when you act on your excitement, it brings everything to the table. That includes the negative and the positive, or the positive and the negative.
Opposite reaction. So those fail safes make me feel like everything's always working out.
In a sense, it is. Again, remember, to use a very crude analogy, existence is roughly 51% positive and 49% negative. The idea is that if you just relax into your normal flow, the current of creation will eventually pull you into the positive side, because that is predominant. The idea of what you call evil, or simply negative actions that impose segregation, separation, and limitational experiences
Hey, Angela, how you
upon
doing?
your consciousness, are again mechanically for the purpose of you making choices as to what you prefer, making choices as to who you prefer to be, and what you prefer to choose as a recognition of your divinity. So,
Keep in mind, these are actually one of the newer transmissions that aren't anywhere else on the internet. I'm just putting this up, at least the first half of it, and I may do the second half of it, depending on where I am today. But I just want to at least share part of the transmission.
so to speak. So it's an opportunity, as they say in your reality. It's easier to see the light when it's surrounded by darkness. So they are both necessary on every level, except for the one, to experience the idea of finding what you prefer and experiencing what you prefer through whatever process you have deemed is necessary for your soul's expansion and growth.
That is beautiful.
It's a trinity.
I'm gonna end right
Not
there.
a duality.
All
But
right.
that was beautiful, and happy holidays to everybody. And we love you, Bashar. We love you, Daryl. We love you all.
Our
That was
unconditional
beautiful.
love
This
to you
this
as
made
well.
my month. This made
All
my
right.
this is a great present.
All right.
Thank you.
This transmission, by the way, it was from around Christmas time. It was the one from the end of 2022.
And to you, happy holy days.
And you as well.
Good day. Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Chris. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. And what I wanted to know is, I remember in one of your previous recordings, you mentioned that if we were to ever have a face-to-face contact with you, it would feel as though we are losing our sense of self. What I wanted to know, or my question is that because you are so embodied in light and so accustomed to it, whereas we are so used to the dark, and as a result, we're not accustomed to so much light, where it would feel so overwhelming and so overpowering that it would feel as though we're losing our sense of self? Thank you. Bye.
So I've heard him say this many times, and it's not so much that you would lose yourself, it's that all those things that you have hidden would come to the surface. So you'd essentially have like a psychotic break. That's actually why we didn't have contact with them for a lot of years. We had less contact with what's happening currently, which, by the way, over the next few years, you notice how they've been talking about UFOs more consistently all over the place, and you're starting to see videos come in all over the place. This is actually part of the... As we shift, this is going to become a much more common thing for all of us.
As we have explained, the idea is that human beings in their consciousness are quite compartmentalized, and they hide things from themselves. Being exposed to that much light means there is no shadow in which to hide. And if you are not ready to face that integration within yourself, it can cause psychic shock.
And this is exactly why Bashar talks about dealing with your belief systems. For us to have more in-person contact, we'll say, we have to deal with like the belief structures, the negative belief structures, so that way when we do have physical contact with them, it's not such a shock to our system.
So, but euphemistically, yes. Exposure to that much light, that high frequency, before you are ready to integrate within yourself all the things you have fragmented, can leave you ill-prepared to face that high vibration. So, we will be gentle with you.
So I heard Bashar say this on a much older transmission. 3 separate times, people came to one of the transmissions and said, "I would like to have contact with you guys in person. I would love to see you face to face." And they use that as a barometer to tell whether how we are as a species, as a people, if we are ready. So all 3 times that everyone said that, when they got to the place and the ship showed up, just barely showed up, and they started experiencing more of the energy of the Sasani or whoever was going to show up, the people ran for their life because they hadn't completely dealt with that aspect of their psyche.
Until you get used to the light within yourself.
So, if you can Angela, you can accrue negative beliefs in your life. So you're going to be, as long as you hold on to those things, it lowers your vibration, your frequency, your personal frequency that you have. So it's actually important to examine the belief structures and the definitions that you're actually using.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
It's really an honor to speak with you today.
And you as well, for us.
My question is regarding synchronicity.
Yes.
And
Just as a, because I want to ask this of everyone that's watching this right now. How many of you, growing up, because I know I wanted to see a UFO in person growing up pretty much my entire life. How many of you actually had contact experiences? I would love to see and hear about your guys' experiences as well.
a type of synchronicity. And I'll
Yes.
just give you an example.
Yes.
About a month ago, I was taking down some recycling to the recycling bin, and a woman approached me and said that she wasn't feeling well and needed help getting home. So I ran upstairs and I got my phone and I ordered her a taxi. And we waited for the taxi for about 15 minutes. And then it came and I explained to the driver that she wasn't feeling well and she went on her way. But as I was going back upstairs, I realized a moment on either side and we would have missed each other completely because I was just taking down some recycling. And I have moments like this often enough that I notice it.
So as you raise your vibration, the amount of synchronicity that happens in your life will actually raise.
So I was wondering if you could give me some insight as to why I have these types of synchronicities.
Why shouldn't you? Everything is an orchestration. You are allowing yourself to be more aware of the orchestration of how things encounter one another, how things come together for different reasons and different purposes. It is an expression of your willingness to be of assistance, even to those you don't know who may require some assistance in life. So the idea is that you're allowing that to become more transparent to you because of your willingness to be someone who can be of assistance to people who may need it.
Thank you. That helps a lot because sometimes I wonder, is it part of our purpose? Meaning, is it part of our assignment to do things like that?
It can be specific in that way, or it can simply be your willingness to open up and recognize more clearly that everything is synchronicity, everything is an orchestration.
And that's why I keep showing up for you guys, because I want to actually share this stuff that I watch on these videos. Because I want to share what I have with you guys.
There are 1,000 examples that happen every day to everyone. They may not be aware of most of them, but they are all orchestrations. There are no accidents. You're simply becoming more transparent and more aware and allowing reality to become more transparent in the synchronicity that surrounds you all the time.
That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, you are so welcome. Anything else?
That's it. You've been
All
very
right.
helpful.
Thank you very much. Aveo.
Aveo.
So me personally, like, shamanic medicine is fantastic and I love it. And I use quite a bit of it yourself. The thing I would say, if as you go through a process, if you're doing any sort of shamanic practice, is the shaman, whoever you're taking the lessons from, is there to be a guide to help you through the process, because that kind of medicine can be very sticky if you don't, if you're using it in a negative way, because you will get back what you put out. And also be grounded.
Hi, Bashar. I have 2 questions.
Oh yeah, no, Bashar's relaxed so much. Like, the way Bashar translates through Daryl these days is much more relaxed compared to what it was a few years ago. Like he'll sometimes pull out that really high energy, but I think Daryl, as he's gotten older, like the energy's just kind of like evened out in him because he's more matching the vibration of, or the frequency of Bashar. So it's not such a like an explosive thing like it was back in his 40s. Keep in mind, Daryl's about 71 years old right now, so I don't think he has it in him to actually express it in the same way.
One is if you can please provide very elaborate guidance on how to recharge the brain when I feel very strong brain fogness and.
That's really cool. What part of the world do you live in? Question mark. Or what part of the world do you live in?
Brain fatigue. And the second is, how do I heal my brain after narcissistic abuse? Thank you.
As always, examine your belief system.
So I will make some comments on this one after he gives his thing, because I've gone through a lot of narcissistic experiences myself that I would love to kind of comment on this one specifically.
As to why you would hold on to the experience, what you get out of it. Take the time to go within in a quiet, perhaps meditative state, to examine and explore with great honesty within yourself why you would keep holding on to.
I know because I've heard this from Daryl and Ryo and like a few other sources. There are a lot of different portals that different ships use as kind of like on and off ramps for the interdimensional freeway and I know there's one here in the Northwest where I live, and then there's also there is one up in the area, up in Grand Rapids, actually, not too far from where you're talking about in northern Michigan.
The effects of a narcissistic experience of abuse, because you must be getting something out of it, either again in a belief that you are not worthy to go forward beyond it, or that you fear something worse will happen if you try to go beyond it. So take the time and relax and refresh, maybe even immerse yourself to some degree in water that's comfortable for you, and just float with the idea of why you might be holding on to, what reason you would create within yourself to hold on to an experience that you do not prefer. Because the only reason you would hold on to it is because you're choosing to, because you think somehow you're...
So typically speaking, I'm just going to say this, Angela, because I and anyone else, typically the first contacts you're going to have with, especially on that energetic level, are going to be your counterparts, are going to be versions of you in those civilizations. So you're just talking to yourself. That's why you can actually handle even remotely being in their presence.
Getting something out of it. So learn the lessons within and let it go.
Oh, hello. Thank
Good
you.
day. Good day, good day.
Very excited to be here to co-create this with you.
As are we.
You know, that's probably why you're there, is because you probably do have a energetic portal right above your house, because you match the frequency, and because you do match the frequency, you're able to see those things, the on and off ramp right there.
Thank you. My deep appreciation.
And also, so kind of going into different forms, don't use, I'm going to say this just because I used to get into that state of mind of like, the form matters, the form doesn't matter. Energetically, the form does not matter at all. It's cool, like it's interesting stuff, but that's actually not the important part. Like aliens, I mean, realistically, aliens don't have to look like us. They don't have to have the physical form. Their ships can look like just about anything, realistically speaking. A lot of the ships of different ETs are multidimensional, so they can actually look like jellyfish, translucent, because they're not completely in our reality.
And love for all that you have given. Thank you so much. I would like to ask a question in regards to the children and on your world.
Yes, the vibration is the most important thing, realistically speaking. like you can't experience something, or you can't see something or experience anything if you're not the vibration of that specific thing.
How you approach teaching them the birds and the bees, if you will.
That's also typically why Bashar, anytime you've heard him say circumstances don't matter, only your state of being matters. Your state of being is your frequency that you're putting out at that moment.
And how you might suggest on our world and our society the best way to do that, to teach them these things.
Well, first of all, remember that in our society, we are wholly telepathic.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that are simply innate because of the environment that the global telepathic link has created, and allows our children to simply absorb information synchronistically at their own pace, at their own rate, when it is appropriate for them. So that happens almost automatically in terms of the downloading of certain things, certain forms of knowledge that they may require to understand the society they have chosen to be born into. On your planet, however, obviously there are various ways of communicating a variety of things. Now, it always starts with what we have already suggested in terms of the primary important steps that children require on your planet in order to be appropriately educated as to how to function in your earthly society to great advantage.
So I want to actually comment on this specifically, because a lot of people that, like the people that are doing the trans thing now and they're going through that whole experience, they're showing our society that you contain both sides of both masculine and feminine energy. That's actually what they're there for. The other thing is, we're working through things energetically, and this is just one of those things that we're working through at the moment.
And again, it starts with...
And also, when you're in spirit form, you don't actually have a gender. A lot of times when people like incarnate as a physical body, you're going to choose the thing that would help you play out whatever theme you're going to be playing in that lifetime anyways. Like, I can tell you from going through my pre-birth planning session for this lifetime recently in the last week or so, which is actually part of the reason I've been on, because I've been just kind of processing the information I got from it. I've had a rough go of being a woman my oversoul has had a rough go of being a woman the last few times that it's done that. So I actually picked being a guy in this lifetime, in this whole experience, to actually balance out the being a male and a female. Like, I'm being a man this time because it's useful for me to actually understand my whole experience of what it's like to be a spirit or a person at this time.
The idea of the parents or teachers, the adults, being creative and imaginative enough to create a safe space, be it a simulation or some sort of setup that allows children from a young age to understand the consequences of their actions. This then allows them to learn the idea of equality and respect, and the idea that every action has a equal and opposite reaction in some way, shape, or form.
And remember, your children did pick you. You picked your parents, you picked your family, because they set you up to play out the theme you're going to play in this lifetime. So it's all part of this, all part of the experience.
And to learn to make constructive and positive choices so that they may create positive and constructive consequences that benefit not just themselves, but everyone, because they have to be taught how to look at a holistic system rather than just looking at things as a collection of independent parts, although both to some degree are necessary. The idea also is to teach them that they are as powerful as they need to be to attract whatever they need in life synchronistically in perfect timing without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to do so. And notice that we said what they need, not necessarily what they want. Which
you always get what you need in every moment. You may not necessarily get what you want. Like, You may want to win it like $200 million and have a whole extravagant life, but it's not necessarily relevant for everyone to have those experiences.
Doesn't always align with what they truly need. But if they are taught that if they get exactly what they need, they will have a life fulfilled and a joyful life, then they will begin to understand the principles upon which reality actually works.
And I can also tell you, as someone, well, as we all do, the more I've just known that I always get what I need, I'm not that worried about things showing up in my life. Like, I have things just show up sporadically in some of the coolest possible ways that you can ever imagine.
Works in a way that benefits them. Also,
every situation benefits you if you let it.
Anything that you deem is necessary for them to learn to thrive in physical reality, find a way, again with your own creativity and imagination, to help them learn the lesson by adapting the lesson to their excitement rather than attempting to squeeze their excitement down into the lesson.
Ooh, so if you guys would like to actually watch the second part of this later today, put 2 in the chat.
And limit it. If they are taught how to learn things based on what they are already excited about in their language, so to speak, then they will be eager to learn. And with these principles, along with teaching them the idea of the formula, then they will be able to grow as adults in a mature way, respecting all, respecting themselves, and what will come naturally in their behavior will be a way to experience any kind of relational encounter.
The Christianity doesn't have anything to do with angels. Angels themselves are just higher level beings. You're more than just the church. You're more than just anything. You are an aspect of an angel. You are an aspect of all that is God, whatever you want to call it.
Encounter, be it sexual or friendly or otherwise, or business, in a manner that allows there to be a balance for all, a respect for all, an equality for all, and those factors will synchronistically guide them into the appropriate behaviors and actions that will allow all forms of relationships to be positive. Does this answer your question?
Yes, I think it does. Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
I have one more question, if possible.
Yes.
I would like to.
You chose her. I chose my mom, and I actually, because I went over my pre-birth planning session, I understand why I chose her.
Have been recently discovering what my highest excitement is.
I have a daughter waiting for me to find her mom and whoever I'm going to have her with. Her name is Rain. She's made it very clear to me. She's a spirit right now. I am Rain. I am your daughter, Rain. She'll be Rain when she's here.
Of taking an inventory of my life and what I've been doing and realizing that.
Sir. Oh, very formal. I'm not that formal.
That my most excitement is I really would like to be or somehow be an ambassador with non-humans and those star families that are helping humanity to raise their vibration. I would like to kind of work.
That is a fantastic thing, Angel. Like, I'm glad to hear that you used that experience to help you be who you are now.
To help acclimate humanity to co-living together somehow.
All right. Well, again, your creativity and imagination come to the forefront in this by creating programs that anticipate when such things, such encounters will be possible for you during the idea of open contact. So you can prepare in a variety of ways if you are imaginative and creative. The idea, again, to remember when we talk about acting on your passion, and when you say my highest passion, for now, because your passion can change its expression many times. But the idea is to remember that when we say act on your passion to the best you are able. So if the idea right now is that there isn't a physical representation of those encounters that you could be interacting with, do what you can to create the template for it, to create a process for it. So use your imagination and creativity and take it as far as you can until you have taken it as far as possible within your physical reality for right now, in terms of what is allowed, what is happening, what is not happening. And then look around for the next most exciting thing. Even if it doesn't seem connected, the excitement tells you that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about this real quick because it's been on my mind. Imagination, according to Bashar, and also what I've come to experience, is that communication between your higher mind and your physical mind. Usually, not always, but usually, if you're coming from a positive place, it's usually going to be coming from your higher mind. And it's also going to be the thing that guides you. It can come in the form of sound, like someone actually talking to you, or it can come in the form of images or feeling, any number of things. It's the more you let it grow and just kind of practice it, it becomes a natural extension of, like, because we all have an imagination, even if a lot of people don't believe they do. So.
Okay, so you can't quite really make a mistake somewhere if you are choosing from moment to moment, so to speak, your highest excitement. If something is not your most highest excitement, but you choose it, your synchronicities will guide you back.
If you are willing to learn the lessons from why it was chosen and explore the belief systems that would have caused the choice to be made, then yes, it's not a mistake. You are giving yourself an opportunity to clear yourself out of any misaligned belief systems that don't belong within what you prefer to be.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
One last question, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. This is a general question regarding the influence that the collective agreement has on an individual choice of something.
Yeah.
So the Arcturus system, there is no actual physical beings in that system anymore. They've all shifted to non-physicality. Stop talking.
Yes.
How much does that have more weight?
And typically, Angel, like if you, or Sky, if you have like an Arctur, usually it, like just about any alien that's going to show up for you right now is just going to be another extension of the same oversoul that you're a part of. So it's just it's one of your counterparts usually.
Then
Well,
is individual choice on something?
It depends on the person. It depends on the theme you're exploring. It varies from person to person in terms of its percentage of influence, as you say. It depends. So there are some things that are clearly breaking away from the idea of the collective.
As you align with your higher self and your vibration to a higher level, you will increase the level of synchronicity, and it lets you know that you're on the correct path.
When you see things, for example, like a person such as Einstein, who comes up with a completely different paradigm for what the collective originally agreed to believe in. And thus, eventually, the collective adapts to that new paradigm expressed by very few people on the planet. So that's an opportunity for the collective to experience, shall we say, a loophole in the...
What do you mean checking out?
collective agreement.
The person may have actually, if you mean checking out by transitioning to non-physicality, that may have just been the time that they chose to exit, and they feel like they actually, because I know you typically exit any given lifetime when you've reached like one of your outs or one of your exit points that you set, because you set multiple points. If you feel like you've accomplished everything you need to in that lifetime, you leave. And also, having that death may happen because it's going to help those people, like their kids, wife, and everything, help them do something they wouldn't have done otherwise.
That it is, in certain timings, in certain ways, and with certain synchronicities, willing to have the entire paradigm agreement change. But the idea.
So the first race that Bashar said of the hybrid races, not necessarily the first race that's going to contact us, is the Yael or the Shalanaya.
Is that there are a few very general things that most people on your planet will not even care to change in order to accomplish what they need to accomplish. Such as you are playing a game of physical reality, and there's such a thing as the planet Earth, and such a thing.
Honestly, so I'm going to say this just because I've gone into other incarnations and I've gone to the point of death with them and gone past those deaths. Honestly, you get out of that body just prior to the death actually happening. So death itself is actually not that painful. Like, honestly, as soon as you cross over to non-physicality, it's euphoric and you don't even remember any sort of pain. Like, your body right before it's about to die, it actually just, you get out of it.
Thing is gravity, and so on and so forth. But again, it really depends on the person. Now, the things that excite you the most, that are truly aligned with your passion and truly representative of who you are, can always be accomplished in some way, shape, or form within the collective agreement, because that's allowed. But the idea is, you may still be willing to believe that you must go through a process in order to figure all that out and express yourself, because the process itself may be what is necessary for you to have a fuller appreciation of what it is you are ultimately able to accomplish in expressing your true passion in life. And that's part of the collective agreement too.
Okay.
Does that answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, those are the hybrid children that are going to come live among us. They're going to start coming to live among us, at least in limited capacity, around 2030, from what I've heard.
Yes, I got that.
All right, so have fun.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
Okay.
Yes, if your consciousness itself can never actually truly die. Like, just you, what makes you, the thing that drives your physical body right now, is actually your consciousness. It's your physical body actually has a very simple consciousness. It's essentially what runs all of the autonomic responses, like your breathing or the stuff that you don't want to do anyways. It's a very base level consciousness. It's that primal part of your body that just kind of runs everything on autopilot. You, that is the personality that you're channeling right now, like me, that I'm channeling, is a mix between your higher mind, your oversoul, and then the themes you choose to experience in that lifetime. Which you never actually, those things, once you've learned them and experienced them, they never go away. They go back up into the level of the oversoul, and they get integrated into the greater aspect of who you are. And as someone who's gone through my pre-birth planning session, not that like in the last week or so, I see why I chose to experience the things that I'm experiencing in this lifetime, and the themes I've chosen to play out this lifetime.
Hello, Bashar. This is Nathan Viasana. I was wondering if it would be any way possible if I could have.
Also, suicide usually comes from a negative place, so don't ever view that as really an option. Allow things to play out how they're going to, but come from a positive place and know that suicide's not really something smart to do.
Contact with one of the beings, if possible. I'm open to the idea, and I think it would be a great opportunity if I can have close contact or come in contact. I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it.
So, typically, if you want to take in the information from a previous lifetime, like if you're doing like a language of any sort from another lifetime, it's more of just kind of like an active connection. If you realize that they're happening right here and now, just on a different frequency. Like, I was born with having the understanding of like how to speak those languages. Like, that's just, it's a natural connection. It's allowing more of a blending, so it's just a natural extension, not a trying to force something that isn't actually there. It's you the more you force those connections to happen and trying to pull information from the other lifetime, it's just you allow it to happen in a natural, easy manner instead of a I have to know all these languages. If it's relevant for you to know those things, you're going to know it.
It's good to meet you, Bashar, and she's the best.
So that may have just been the exit that your friend wanted to pass from. Like, that may have just been a window. Like, she'd died, her physical body died, but she's not really dead.
Well, obviously, we are having contact right now in this particular format, but
the Yael, and I'm going to actually scoot this back a little bit. The Yael, I don't really have, me personally, I have more of a connection to the Sasani civilization. So I know their language, but they're also telepathic. The Yael are also telepathic. Most of the hybrid civilizations at this point are telepathic, so they don't really have language per se. I know what like the people from Sirius, their language sounds like. I know what Lyran language sounds like. I know what a lot of different ancient civilizations, their ancient species, their language sounds like. But generally speaking, a lot of higher density beings, they don't actually have physical languages like we do now. The children that are being born now are of a different species completely, and that's because you probably resonate with them. That's probably why you understand them. All right, let's get back to the video.
It would be a great opportunity if I can have close contact or come in contact. I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's good to meet you, Bashar, and she's the best.
well, obviously, we are having contact right now in this particular format, but we understand what is meant. But again, there's a timing to these things that's appropriate not only for the individual, but for the all, for the collective. So again, we would simply suggest that you do your best to follow the formula, and remember that acting on your passion means acting to the best you are able to act, which means if you can't do a certain thing that you're excited about, then it's telling you that it's not necessarily the appropriate timing for that expression, but you can act on other things.
Oh, so I'm going to say this just because it's in the chat right now. You can actually train up telepathic communication. I had this experience where I was having a whole conversation with a friend of mine that I know through my dance community who lives in Southern Oregon. I was standing there talking to him, and I heard him say something telepathically, and then I said it out loud after he'd been talking about this one guy for a little bit. And I heard him say the book My Big Toe. And I've gotten to the point where I hear things auditorily that are telepathic communications. This is not to brag, but it's just to illustrate you can train these things up to where you have these sort of communications with other people. It doesn't always come through in that manner to start with, but after a while it becomes a natural flow of how you communicate with people.
You are able to act on. So do so, and you will accelerate the process of being able to be ready in vibrational states that are appropriate for open contact to happen face to face with other kinds of beings. As we say, we will be giving you other permission slips, other exercises having to do with the idea of increasing the probability of contact when we go through the transmissions of the window, the door, and the gate. So that may be of assistance to you as well in the upcoming months of your 2023 year.
You actually, I know all of us when we're kids, we're all very telepathic. It's just as you grow up and grow into our society, you get entrenched into the idea that that's not a form of communication. You got to let down the barriers that say that's not a form of communication, because frankly, pretty much when everyone is telepathic, it's just they're telling themselves that it's not real.
Hello. Hi. first I want to say thank you for the synchronicity
Absolutely.
of talking with you.
I love the trees here in
It
Portland.
is our passion and our pleasure.
Thank you. So, I'm curious to know about a couple experiences I've had.
All right.
I made some homemade tincture and
Of what?
the THC,
All right.
and I laid down to take a nap. And I thought that I fell asleep because I felt my entire body vibrating, and it was very intense but very pleasurable. I thought I was asleep. My bed felt like it was levitating on an angle with the head raised higher.
Out in the gorge, there are so many waterfalls, especially around this time of year because it's starting to be springtime. There are a lot more falls than just normal falls, which is what everyone knows. There's a lot of pretty falls that are all over the place out in the gorge, which is about a half-hour drive from where I live.
And I thought it felt like I was in warm water. It felt like somebody was behind me and wrapping their hand around my waist. And eventually I got up because I thought that I peed my bed. But it turns out that, my bed was dry, and when I looked at my watch to see how long I was asleep, it didn't detect any sleep.
She had a contact. This is the way contact does show up in one form, at least.
And then I had another similar experience where it felt like...
So, I'm going to say this about receiving telepathic communication. You're probably pretty good at receiving it. It's just the way you're defining it as it has to show up in one way. Telepathic communication can show up in so many ways, like this one that's up on the screen right now. Telepathic communication is more about listening than anything else. Kind of change up how you listen, and you'll realize, hey, I'm already listening to these things.
Something externally again was pushing up from my root chakra, and it again was very pleasurable. So I'm wondering what these experiences could have been.
They're preparation states for altered states, fuller altered states that you may achieve later on.
Yep.
It's preparing you and allowing you to get used to certain higher frequencies so that you can more smoothly transition into higher altered states later on.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you understand?
So was that my own body, or was that another entity?
There are other entities involved peripherally to some degree, but what you are experiencing is your own energy going into altered states, higher frequencies.
Okay. And also, I had come across a YouTube video from Rob Gauthier, the E.T. Whisperer, how to channel class, and I was doing one of his exercises, and I saw an entity, a being.
Go right ahead. Sounds like fun. But just know that you're not going to have contact unless it's synchronistically already scheduled for you to have real contact in that time.
He appeared to be male, with bluish gray skin and bluish gray hair. He seemed to have a flat affect.
Oh my god, I can tell you so many experiences, because a lot of times if you tell people that you're telepathic, they block you. Like, they put up the internal blocks. If you're... And a lot of times, yes, people are completely out of touch with themselves and they're completely ungrounded, because I've dealt with this for a long time. You gotta let things happen naturally. Anytime you force an experience, it's not gonna happen.
No really emotional. He didn't look like emotional at all. He appeared to be like a warrior type, not in a negative way, but just like a warrior type. I'm wondering, did I happen to see somebody that was not reaching out to me, just because I didn't have any specific person in mind that I was trying to connect with. I just was seeing.
You are experiencing one face, one aspect in symbolic form of your own higher mind.
Yes.
So is that another entity from like another dimension?
It's another aspect of her. It's another aspect from her higher mind.
Your higher mind, your spirit self on the higher level.
So
One
that was
aspect
me.
of it.
Yes.
But not you, the physical person only. A bigger representation. Remember that you are in spirit right now. You never leave spirit. That's your natural state.
So the other way of gaining that telepathic understanding, really, it does come down to listening, but also getting contact with your higher mind and learning to integrate that into yourself. So everything comes in through a synchronistic and much more smooth way of thinking, and energetically speaking, much more, because nothing that actually contacts your higher mind or goes through your higher mind will actually come through in a negative way.
So what you were seeing is a portion, a representation, just one representation of a multifaceted level of your own being in the spirit world.
Were they trying to communicate with me, or
They did communicate with you because
Yes.
the things that you picked up are aspects you contain.
I have contacted so many aspects of, like what she's talking about, of different archetypes that exist within my oversoul that are some of my counterparts, that it's fantastic. And there's parts of myself that I didn't know were there that have helped me grow. And they have stuff to say if you just listen. Listening. I can't express that more. People need to listen more, because usually the answers are there if you just listen and don't try to force things.
Ah, I see.
Absolutely.
Are they located anywhere? Where are they located?
On a different plane, here and now, different frequency.
Everything's here and now.
In again the same way that two television programs are located in the same space, but you only see one at a time based on what you're tuned to. All spirit is here. It's just a different frequency, different channel, if you wish.
And does this entity have a name?
It's up to you to determine what you wish to call your own higher mind. Remember, this is you. You keep referring to it as this entity. It's not separate from you. This is, you are an aspect of it.
Ooh. And I finally got a name for the aspect of my higher mind or my oversoul that my counterpart gave me a name in the last day or so for inside of Bashar's civilization, for me to actually have a vibrational name so I can have more open contact with that aspect of myself. Ethereum. That's just the name he gave me.
You are a projection of it. It is reflecting qualities to you that you contain, even as a physical being.
Okay. And
Use them in life. Go boldly forward.
Okay. And
I would not have been able to connect with that aspect of myself that my counterpart inside the Sasani civilization if I wasn't a high enough vibrational match to be able to have that discussion.
I feel like
and it's telepathic communication. It's telepathic.
Somebody or something has been trying to connect with me. It is.
Did we not just talk about it?
Yes, you did.
All right. Don't separate what is not separated in terms of a question. It is all the same thing that we're talking about here.
Yep.
Okay.
Your higher self is showing you and giving you opportunities to make a stronger, aware connection with it so that you can move forward in life more fully.
Yes, it is, but that's the name it gave me in order to actually connect with it. It's currency. It's current. It's energy. That's why it said Ethereum, not
fully as your true self, acting on your passions.
Okay.
I actually asked the question when it gave me that name. I'm like, are you sure you don't want to give me another name? And it said, nope, that's the name we want to use right now.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
I also have a aspect of my consciousness that was in the Toltec civilization, whose name was Tolma. He was a shaman. He was a knowledge giver. And there's a million other names that I've had in different civilizations.
Hi, Bashar. This is Teresa. Can you talk about scapegoating? Why does scapegoating happen within a family? And what should a person do if they've been scapegoated their whole lives, not to be socially marginalized? I grew up...
Let go of guilt. That's honestly one of the best ways I've found to and also stand up for yourself, because that's usually what it's calling for.
The scapegoat within my family, and I still have great difficulty feeling connected to other people, even in my old age. Thank you for all that you've done for me.
Where it is a badge of strength that you chose to be strong enough to, in a sense, take on the fears and lack of responsibility that other people have when they are not willing to look at their own issues and simply choose someone to foist them all and project them all upon. So it's a badge of strength that you were willing to do this for them, but you must reflect, if you are to be true to yourself, the idea that rather than continuing as a scapegoat, it's possible for you, though they don't have to accept it, that you can return information to them that allows them the opportunity to face their own fears and not foist them off on you.
And I have done this with my family in the last few years, so they stopped foisting stuff onto me, and like their own insecurities and pain, I no longer take it because I choose not to.
To allow them to take responsibility for their own negative and fear-based belief systems that they are simply unwilling to face, which is why people create scapegoats, because they fear the responsibility, because they define it as blame, and they are coming from a place of less than worthiness, and so on and so forth. But you have decided to be strong enough to play the part that allows them to use you, in a sense, as an excuse to not face themselves. But you don't have to continue to do so if you can respond appropriately. That puts them in touch with the idea that they need to look at themselves and their own issues if they really wish to expand in life. But that means you can go on without feeling like a scapegoat or experiencing the effects of being one, if you take the responsibility to reflect to them what it is they are actually reflecting to you.
And I can tell you what he's describing here about scapegoating and being the one who's... I can tell you, after going through the process of no longer being the scapegoat in my family, because I know a lot of us have been, now that I've reached a certain point with my relationships with many people in my family, because I've made them look at things, they talk to me differently and they treat me differently because I no longer am the scapegoat in my family, and nor would I let them have someone just be a scapegoat. I make people actually look at the things they don't want to.
About their own fears.
Hello?
All right, good day, good day.
Hi, very nice to talk to you.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
I wanted to ask you if you have transgender people on your planet.
It has happened from time to time, though it is not necessarily a theme we completely need to explore. Although as we evolve, in a sense, we become less differentiated in male and female and closer to spirit, which contains no gender and all genders at all. So in that sense, you may say that many of us are now what you might refer to as androgynous, neither male nor female exactly, but not exactly the same expression of transgender that you are exploring on Earth.
It is just a theme we're playing out right now, and I know I talked about this earlier, and I completely forgot this was in here, but this is... yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. That's great news for me.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you if... Okay, so my name is Linnea,
Yes.
and it's a plant name,
Yes.
and it is considered a pretty feminine name. I am in the process of transitioning, but I really like my name.
Yes.
Because it's a plant name and I work with plants, and I know Willa Hillicrissing talks about having plant names in the future, and that really resonates with me.
Yes.
I was wondering if there is a name that comes through you to me that would make sense for me after I transition medically.
Into,
A male.
well, if you wish to retain traditional suffixes on your planet, you could call yourself Linneo.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. That's amazing. Okay, whoa, that's really interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
My ancestors are from Lebanon.
Yes.
Can I ask a question about Lebanon?
You just did.
You may ask. We do not know yet whether we will be allowed to answer, but go ahead.
Okay, great. So I have ancestry from that area. That's kind of the only area that I have ancestry from. And when I look at Lebanon, it seems like a place that experiences a lot of challenges and a lot of identity crisis issues.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, it's kind of hard for me to find information on Lebanon. And I'm wondering if you have any idea of the original people of Lebanon, and if they ever lived harmoniously with the land, and if they ever lived harmoniously with each other.
In some ways, yes, but it is an area, as you say, of great challenge and great cycles of exploration. We would suggest, even though it may not be only connected to the idea of Lebanon, if you have not done so already, explore the idea of Baalbek.
Okay.
And see what comes up for you.
Explore, and you mean just research. And not go there?
Yes, if you wish.
You could go to Baalbek if you really wanted to.
You may ultimately go there, but for now, research is fine. Baalbek.
Okay, great. Can you talk a little bit about, is there any energy point in Lebanon that makes it so chaotic, or is it just what people there have agreed to experience?
To some degree, it's what they have agreed to experience, but it is a deeper story than that and a longer story than we have time to express today.
So I'm gonna, at some point, I will get the video for Angels of Orion, but he actually explains why that area of the Middle East has been so filled with strife over the years and so full of pain. It's actually playing out the idea of the ancient Orion energies in our time period in that area. That's why there's been so many wars in that part of the world. It's because it's that ancient Orion energy that's playing out on Earth for now.
Okay.
Well, will we get to know sometime in my lifetime?
The first one, Baalbek. Baalbek.
What the story there is? It just seems
Potentially, yes.
You have talked about how on first contact we would get a complete history of our planet.
That will be contained within it, yes.
Amazing. Do I have time for one more question?
Well, that was a question. I guess you did.
Okay. I have a question you've probably answered a whole bunch of times already, but
always the first time, every time.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. What are some actual practices on how to stop caring about what people think? Because just identifying it to me doesn't stop those reoccurring patterns and those reoccurring thoughts. It's something I've been working on my whole life. So I'm wondering.
It's a theme you chose to play out. It's also guilt. That's another way of stop caring so much about what other people think.
Yeah.
Well, this goes down once again to the motivational mechanism we have talked about. The idea that you believe these things to be truer than the alternative, yourself. So the question is, since you only believe things you believe serve you, the alternative must be scarier or believed to be worse than what you're already willing to believe about yourself to be true. So when people say things and you care about what they're saying in the negative sense, there is a portion of you in your belief system that agrees with them or is afraid that it might be true. You need to get in touch with how it serves you to hold on to that assessment of your.
And I'm going to say this just because I've gone through some really cool stuff recently. When I was able to actually let go of my guilt around things growing up, my family, the people in my life that I've had for the last 4 decades, I stopped caring as much. It wasn't as important to me when I let go of like that emotional attachment to the things as to why I was holding on to them. So letting go of the guilt is actually pretty much paramount to be able to like let go of those things.
Yourself. Why you would align yourself with something that you don't prefer to be true about yourself, and examine why you're holding on to it. Usually it has to do with issues of lack of self-worth, or the idea that the alternative belief, the one that you know would be more positive, is somehow something you believe would actually cause something worse to happen than simply staying where you are.
Letting go
of
guilt.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll have to process that. But the first part really struck a chord with me.
All right. The motivational mechanism is simply that within your consciousness where you will always move toward what you believe serves you and always move away from what you believe does not. So if you notice that you're holding on to things that don't serve you, like maybe caring too much about what people think of you, not saying you can't take advice from time to time, that's fine, but you get to determine what is true for you. But holding on to things you know are not necessarily preferable and judging yourself in that sense, you have to find out why you would think that that is to your benefit.
Okay.
Because the idea, again, is that if you believe it is to your benefit to hold on to that concept, that usually means, again, it's an issue of self-worth, or it's an issue that the alternative somehow, because of your belief system, would appear worse, that something bad will happen if you go the other way that you prefer to go.
Right.
So I got a question. I have a meditation that I've used over the last about a month now that if you guys would be interested in doing, it's super simple. It's from the Coherence Healing guy I like listening to. It's on my channel, but it's under unlisted. If you guys would actually like to listen to it and do it yourself, I will put it in the chat for you guys to actually be able to do. Let me know.
So examine those two probabilities and you will hit upon what the belief is. And as soon as you really look around and compare yourself to others in the world who may be living in the way you prefer to, you will realize that you actually do have a choice and that to hold on to something you don't prefer makes no sense. And as soon as it truly makes no sense, it'll be gone. Because you don't hold on to things that don't make sense.
So
you have a belief that's making the idea make sense. You have to find that belief and let it go.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
One more question about, there's a lot of predictions that 2023...
Sensing of the energy at that moment, and also we're on a timeline for contacts, so...
It will be a year of famine, which doesn't sound right to me.
That's not correct.
For some it's true.
For some it's true?
Yes, but not for all. Again, this is the splitting prism when you are starting to diversify into different threads, different realities, different versions of Earth. So for some, but again, remember, there's no such thing as a prediction of the future. The energy that is created in the prediction is the sensing of what's in the present that has a high degree of probability, unless hearing the prediction makes you change it.
How likely is it to switch, to change that probability for myself?
We're shifting constantly.
As likely as you believe it to be. So again, examine your beliefs. Why wouldn't it be likely? Why wouldn't it be probable for you to go in a different direction?
Right.
Remember, fear attracts.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, why are you concerned about this? What are your belief systems telling you that you would bring this up as a question?
Yeah.
How much stock are you putting in that idea? And why? And you will have your answer.
I don't fear it for myself. I fear it for other people.
Yes, but they have their own path too.
Yeah. Okay.
So while you can do whatever you can,
I just put a link in the into the chat if you guys are interested in doing it. It's the meditation I've been doing, and I've found I'm just kind of free of a lot of guilt and anguish that I've been holding on to, which I think it's important just based off of the response I've had from everyone that I've shared it with. So,
and to help,
Yeah.
and perhaps stave off the idea of starvation or famine for others,
Yeah.
all you can do is do what you can. People have their own paths. You're not living their lives. They may have chosen this for their own reasons.
That's true.
And what you have to share with them and how you can help may affect them somewhere down the line if it doesn't do so right away. But that's all you can do. What they choose to do with what you choose to help them with is none of your business.
Nope.
Okay. That's
Just like their opinion of you is none of your business. That's pretty much why I tell most people congratulations when they tell me something that I don't resonate with.
great. Thank you.
Be helpful, but be respectful of their own path as well if you seem like you're not able to really do something for them.
I
They're
really
making
like
their
that.
own choices too.
Thank you. You've answered all of my questions. I appreciate that.
It is our deep appreciation to you for the interaction. Aveo.
Rayo.
Hello, Bashar. This is Meerthe from the Netherlands, and I have some experiences I would like to ask you about. So, somewhere in my 20s, I was sitting on the couch. I was watching our cat jumping through the living room, and all of a sudden, I felt like I caught a glimpse of his perspective. So I was close.
You shifted into your cat's perspective. It's pretty fun. Actually, looking through animals' eyes, they see the world completely different than how we do. Like I've jumped into my dog, I've jumped into my cats in the past, I've jumped into people that I know, just so I can see things from their perspective.
To the floor, I was facing in a different direction. But especially the air around me, like usually I just ignore space and look at the objects in it. But now it was like the air was very active and like sparkly and very alive. Like a few years later, I was babysitting a little kid, and I was sitting at the table, and she was standing to my right. And all of a sudden I could see the table on eye level, and I saw my own figure to the left. And especially my senses were very active, like less focus on my thoughts and more on my senses. And then a few years later again, I was helping a friend who was making a YouTube video. So I was filming her and holding the camera and listening to her story. And then all of a sudden I could see myself holding the camera in front of her.
She jumped out of her body, and also she was seeing from her cat's perspective, which her cat can actually see into other dimensions.
So it felt like switching places, but more than switching places, it was like their perspective was added to mine for a while. Just for a few seconds, because I would be very surprised. And I think the surprise in itself just kind of like moved me back to my own perspective.
I mean, who didn't jump out of their body when they were a kid? Like, I know I sure as hell did all the time. Like, I would have a bunch of times where my body would just freeze, and then I'd start seeing other things, and then a split second later I'd be back in it and just not like frozen in place.
But I was wondering, can you tell me a little bit about what happens in a situation like that?
How do I shift my perspective? I know that I'm not just my physical body, and that my consciousness is just, I am more than just this. So I'm able to, I also did a thing where I splintered off my consciousness years ago, so I can be sitting here talking to you guys, and I'm also off traveling other places, but I'm mostly here right now, practice or focusing on this with you guys.
How would you describe something like that? And also, how could we, what could we do to actively develop a skill like that to maybe purposefully switch places or add perspectives for a moment? Thank you so much.
Well, there are many ways that you might learn to do that more intentionally, but for right now, they are simply signposts for you to get used to the idea that you are loosely connected to physical reality, and thus slipping back into the idea of your spirit perspective, which sees all things as connected, which sees all perspectives from every point of view. So you're kind of practicing going back and forth between the denser physical material world and the less dense spiritual perspective of knowing that you are everything, you are connected to everything, and can perceive everything from everyone else's perspective. So you're practicing back and forth doing that so that you maintain more conscious awareness of your connection to physical reality and know that you are creating it as a projection, as a dream projection of your consciousness. So it's just a process you're going through that you'll get better at. Just keep going, follow the formula. It will expand and it will accelerate.
Hey.
Good day.
Bashar, hello.
I spent a good portion of my teens and also my younger years when I was a little kid. Not that I was really that little. Not necessarily being in my body. I'm just been always a traveler by nature. Like, I am a traveler. That's just who I am.
Good day, good day.
Oh my goodness. So many years.
All right, if you say so.
We have not, my imagine.
It was just a moment ago for him. Like, his consciousness shifts constantly, so this is actually the same conversation, a continuation of the conversation he had years ago.
Imagining our connection for many years and answers and revelations you've given me through the channels?
No, you're not imagining, but it may be coming from a lot of different sources, not necessarily just us. It could be coming from your own higher mind or spirit guides and all sorts of places.
Oh my goodness. I'm really grateful to you for all the insight you've given me, though, because I use it in my life so
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so, and we thank you for being willing to apply it, because you don't have to.
Oh wow, that takes the pressure off. It really helps.
All right. Anything else you would like to discuss?
Yes, I had a question. This was the original question I was supposed to ask you to start. And it's, yes. Do I have my own UFO on Earth? And I think I know what you're going to say. Somewhere in a past lifetime, I've left a UFO. I can find it again by being in a certain resonance, more so than just staying in the vibration. But what more is there than staying in the vibration?
Well, first of all, it's not your past life. You're making a connection to someone who exists simultaneously with you, who does have that experience.
And that's how you can also talk to your counterparts, not your past life. There's no such thing as past life. It's your counterparts in different frequencies. And also, the connection is dynamic, so you're constantly shifting to other versions of you and also other versions of connections that you have in the moment that are helping you inform how you experience this lifetime. So, yeah.
And therefore, in a sense, it's findable if you are in the correct vibrational state, if that is important for the theme you need to experience in this life.
Relevance is the important part. It's not just, it's all about relevance for you to experience certain things, whether it's a UFO or any other thing, any other part of your life. If it's not relevant for you to have an experience, you're not going to.
With open contact coming, would you say it's probably appropriate?
It is a probability, but I'm not going to give you any percentages on that because it's too early and too many things are in flux.
Oh, wow. What are the major things in flux that would need to change? Does it have to do with deeper set negative beliefs?
Letting go.
It has to do with a lot of things going on your planet in the collective consciousness and what they are ready for.
Although my individual world, I can create and bolster whatever reality I choose.
Except for the things you have agreed to abide by that doesn't leave anyone else behind.
Leaving people behind. Although you can never really do that, I guess, if we're eternal souls and...
Yes, but in the immediate physical sense, you have a governor on yourself to make sure that you stay in step with certain aspects of the collective agreement so that there will be benefit for all concerned.
So I'm going to say this just because if you don't necessarily remember all those things that you agreed to do, it's not necessarily that you're never going to know those things. It's because you agreed to not have those memories. Because sometimes it's like taking a test and not necessarily knowing all the answers for the test. The test is, what would you do with this experience? So.
Could you go into that further?
In other words, the timing is important as to when that might occur.
So if you leave and go somewhere else before the timing, and it will throw you off, sometimes you're not going to have those experiences until it's the right timing. So just kind of relax into things.
That would be of the greatest benefit for the greatest number of individuals who also seek some similar vibrational experience.
Yep.
So you can help not just yourself, but many people by accepting the appropriate timing for such discoveries as you have described it.
Okay, so we don't have to know ahead of time because it could mess with it. And yeah, that's another thing. I have heard some of your predictions, like the Sphinx and the UFO under it being excavated, and then went into a state of expectation. And then I think I've sabotaged it from happening as soon as you initially
It's not a sabotage. It's an opportunity for you to explore any limiting beliefs within you and to relax into appropriate timing.
Yep.
Wow.
And also trying to rush ahead before you're ready for something to happen will oftentimes make those events not happen. It's sort of like a few years ago he was sitting there talking about the winter comet or the Christmas comet that ended up never showing up in our reality. I personally never saw it in my reality in the sky, so I apparently shifted myself to a reality where I didn't get to see that thing, which would have been cool to actually see it.
Even the idea or the definition that you would consider that sabotage is something that's important to work on.
It's a definition.
Right, because of baggage from my upbringing, I would say.
Yes. So it's an opportunity, and therefore the UFO acts as an opportunity, as a incentive for you to work on clearing out the vibrational beliefs that aren't compatible with the idea of the probability of encountering the UFO.
Wow, so as I work out the issue, or I bring it to the surface or transform it by embracing it and giving gratitude, then the UFO becomes more likely.
Yes, but you have to be careful not to attach more expectation.
Whatever is relevant for you to experience, you're going to experience that thing.
And an insistence to that, because you don't really know what more likely means in terms of the timing.
Wow. So yeah, I can't claim to know
relevancy
what would actually happen either. That makes sense.
And you wouldn't want to, because again, you'll spoil the surprises.
The only place to open up your gifts is in the moment.
Right, like everything else that seems to manifest in life. It seems like it's not happening, nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden it's like,
yes,
when it's not happening, especially, it starts happening.
Yes, exactly so. So
what state to be in the state? What's the best state to always believe that it's not happening, or know that it's not happening, that like constantly
live in the moment, deal with what is happening, follow the formula. That's all you need to do. It's
keep it simple.
It's designed to do that. It's designed to keep you in the present and deal with what is happening in the most positive way.
If I'm not in a state of it manifesting, is that
you are always manifesting something, or you wouldn't be having a physical reality experience.
Yep.
Well, that's true.
So it's not like you don't know how to manifest.
We all know how to manifest. If you need to go through a school on how to manifest, you're already doing it. It's just doing it with more intention as to what direction you're taking yourself in.
You just need to relax your insistence or expectation on what it is you think you need to manifest and when. And you have to start trusting the way your life unfolds. Relax into the present. Whatever it is that is happening is the most important thing in the world that could be happening at that moment. And if you relate to it from a positive place, you will extract the benefit from it that will carry you forward in appropriate timing. If you resist it, this shouldn't be happening, I should be farther along, something else should be happening, then you stay stuck exactly where you are until you get the message that the present experience is meant to bring you.
So I will relate this to my dancing because it's one of the things that I love and something that I compete at occasionally. I've been doing it for about 10 years. I'm a pretty good dancer. I've been stuck in novice, which is basically the lowest rank you can get in for that time. If I would allow it to happen more naturally, because I've said to myself exactly what he's saying, which is I should be up further, I should be in advanced, I should be in a much higher division than I am. Because I've been forcing it for all these years, I'm still a novice.
Wow. It's all now. So what else?
I would actually have to look that up. If you would look at, I think the last live stream I did, the information's on there. It should be up in my content that's up on in my profile.
This is there.
Exactly. So stay in the present, and things will accelerate because everything you need.
I dance West Coast swing. I absolutely love it. I've been doing it for a long time, and dancing, especially if you are a spiritually oriented kind of person, is one of the best ways to actually kind of stay grounded. Like, I love it. It's so much fun.
Can only happen to you in the now. And if you're not home, if you're not here, and you're not now, then you cannot experience the manifestations that are important for you to experience in the now. You have to be home to receive the packages.
Oh, and hi, John. How's it going? I've kind of got lost in the transmission. I forgot to say hi.
And that's breathing, I believe. Breathing properly, which I oftentimes just hold my breath for very long periods.
All right. Well, again, with the exception of certain exercises that are designed to allow you to hold your breath for a variety of reasons, yes, just breathe and keep moving.
Once this is done, I will pull up a video for you guys to watch.
And keep relating to whatever's happening in the most
Correct.
positive way you can. Even if something manifests that you don't objectively prefer, you just realize it's not vibrationally compatible with what you prefer, that doesn't mean it's not there for a reason. And if
Everything's
nothing
there
else,
for a reason.
you can more clearly understand what you prefer by having manifested something that you don't prefer. And therefore you've used what you don't prefer in a positive way. And then it can move on.
Everything can work for you if you let it.
Because you've used it. You've learned the lesson.
Essentially, it's saying I am all that I perceive, right? And being without your is it letting the ego tell us that we're better than something, or something is better than something?
Without the negative, without the negative ego.
The insistence. I mean, honestly, it's the insistence that something has to show up a certain way.
Because the true ego doesn't tell you anything. It just allows you to experience whatever it is you're experiencing as clearly as possible.
So true.
That's the positive ego. It's just doing its job of allowing you to have a physical reality experience. It's the negative ego that thinks it needs to control that experience. You're already in control.
Yep.
The negative ego doesn't believe that you are, and therefore tries to take over and control everything. But that's exactly the opposite of control. That's desperation and feeling like you're disconnected.
Sorry?
That's desperation, feeling like you're disconnected.
Right. Which is part of my baggage.
All right. So, you are in control. Just go with the flow. Go with your own current. Don't swim upstream.
Go with the flow. Your flow knows where to go.
You will land exactly where you need to because your current knows exactly where you need to go. It's designed for you.
Yep.
So, don't overthink. Just relax into the flow. The flow knows exactly what needs to happen. Let your life unfold in an automatic and perfectly timed way. Don't try so hard.
Wonderful
I'm not trying to
synchronicity.
right
to some degree, but you're relaxing a bit as we go.
A bit, yeah. Correct. Well,
so anything else, or do you have what you need?
Oh, I could go on. I could spend a lot of time talking to you, or at least being.
Well, all right, but remember, the more you absorb and understand what we're saying, the more you can answer your own questions.
Absolutely.
Because many times people ask the same question over and over in different clothing.
Uh-huh. And that's actually why I'm doing this, because I get tired of hearing the same people ask the same exact question over and over and over again. I just want to sit here and talk about it and clarify things so it's easier for people to understand.
And the answer is the same to all of it. Follow the formula, be in the now, act on your passion, be yourself.
Wow.
So, if you've seen The Matrix, you realize that you are the spoon. You are just communicating with the thing that is just another aspect of you. You're asking it to do something. That's realistically what spoon bending actually is.
It's designed. It's a distillation of how reality works.
Besides, spoon bending is just a fun party trick anyways.
Designed to allow things to be easy by giving you an instruction manual for how it works. Just follow the instructions, as you would with any device that you would like to utilize that comes with instructions. A, B, C, D, E. Follow the instructions, it'll work. Don't follow the instructions, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, maybe it'll work to your disadvantage. Just follow the instructions. Everything is working already. Just follow the instructions. The instructions tell you how it's working, why it works.
Ooh, I love the prime radiant. If you don't know what the prime radiant is, please let me know. I'm more than happy to sit there and explain it to you guys.
That's all you have to do. That's why we give you the formula. Act on your passion to the best you can, with no insistence, no expectation as to the outcome, no assumption of...
John, there is so much dancing in Europe, like for West Coast. Just look it up. I know there's dancing in the Netherlands. There's dancing, especially in France. Holy crap, there's a lot of dancing in France. There's dancing in the UK, a lot in Germany, Sweden, a lot of the Nordic countries has it. Lyon, France, if he can ever make it down there, there's really fantastic West Coast swing, especially in Paris as well. And also London and all over Europe. There's so much. There actually used to be a dance convention in Ukraine and in Kyiv before the war, which I look forward to going to someday when everything is said and done.
That. Stay in a positive state, no matter what happens. Examine your belief systems. Let go of the ones that don't serve you. That's it. Very simple. No need to overcomplicate it. Just follow the instructions as precisely as possible.
Wonderful.
Does that help you?
Helps me very much.
That's a belief. Anyone can be a dancer if you feel called to you.
Very much.
Take a breath. All right. So, moving on, is there something else?
Would you guys like me to describe the prime radiant to you? Please put one in the chat if you're interested.
Oh, okay. Well, of many questions that I've wanted to ask you, I keep coming back to this one. I guess it's the most exciting. Has Jesus taught you how to neutralize the effect of negative actions through forgiveness to your ancient civilization? What did...
Forgiving others is forgiving yourself for having attracted the experience that you don't prefer. Yep. In other words, it's freedom. Forgiveness is freedom. Otherwise, if you don't forgive, you're anchoring yourself to the negative experience and the negative energy, and why would you want to do that? Yeshua is for you.
You are completely correct. It is your intention that sets the ability for anything to happen in your life, whether it's spoon bending or people showing up in your life.
And Earth. We have Shekinah, which taught us the same thing.
Shekinah?
Oh, absolutely. dancing for me especially is one of my physical passions. It's one of the things I absolutely love. I do it as much as I possibly can.
Oh, no.
Yes. The aspect of all that is the teaching.
Esasani has its own type of dance. It's just not as complex as, say, swing dancing. They have different types of dance.
Sure. That is the shifter and the changer. But your expression of that is either Yeshua or Buddha or Krishna or many faces of all that is.
Is that throughout the billions of years that the same souls keep reincarnating as
Reincarnation is an illusion.
Oh.
Remember, everything exists now, which means everyone exists now. So you're never someone else, but you make energetic connections to them, and from your linear perspective, interpret them as memories.
After this is done talking, I will explain the Prime Radiant.
So experiential reincarnation is real. You can have the experience as if you have reincarnated in a linear fashion. But what you're really doing is connecting to other beings that exist at the same time you do and drawing down experience from them, which you interpret as memories to guide you in this life, as they may be doing the same with you.
Yep.
So you're
remember, everything is now. Everything is now. Everything is now. Everything is now. Does that help you?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. It very
Then
much does.
we will say that is sufficient unto the day.
Okay. I go on for hours. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Avea.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right here because I know I'll do the second part later this evening. So what the Prime Radiant is, and I know I put this in a previous video, what the Prime Radiant is in a void where there's nothing for that, and there's other than one single particle. Since there's nothing else in that particle to bump up against, move away from, or it can move at infinite speed. So as it's moving at infinite speed, it's moving so fast that it can actually appear next to itself. And then again and again and again. And so everything up in reality, in our physical experience, in reality in general on all levels, is all literally that one same particle that is everything, that makes up everything. So we are quite literally all one thing, just being expressed from different points of view. So I am gonna put up the rest of this. I'll do the second half of this stream later this evening if you guys are interested. I gotta go change the tire in my car. When I came out this morning, the back tire was flat, so I will be back on in a few hours to watch the other half of this transmission if you guys are interested in joining me back for the rest of it. I will talk to you guys soon, and I look forward to sharing more of these with you guys. Have a great day.